What's up, everybody? This episode, I guess you could call it. I was reading some stuff, a bunch of clips on the internet um, today about BJ Penn being arrested in Hilo, Hawaii again. It's well known the last couple years that he's been having issues with his family. He's been believing that most of his family, his brothers, his mother, have been, I don't know, I guess, killed and replaced by imposters who are trying to rob him of his home, his everything that he's built in his fighting career. And this was a really, really hard subject for me because when I first started fighting MMA, and even before, BJ Penn was my absolute favorite fighter in the world. Like, favorite. I bought every single t-shirt he put out. The famous white board shorts that he fought in with the black belt on it. I bought those shorts and I kept them in a bag for 15 years. You might be asking, why did you keep them in a bag for 15 years? I bought those shorts probably in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, when he was on his reign. And I never put those shorts on. Shit, it was probably longer than that. I didn't put those shorts on until 2021, 2022, when I had got my black belt in jiu-jitsu. Because I didn't want to wear those shorts and feel like a poser with a black belt on it. I love BJ Penn so much. He was an inspiration to me. He's the one that got me into training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He was the fighter that I always wanted to be like when I first started fighting MMA. And to see that he was arrested again just absolutely breaks my heart. And, he was the prodigy. He was the man. He was one of the very first UFC superstars in the world, outside of Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Randy Couture. It was BJ Penn. BJ Penn. And BJ Penn is the second two-division champion, UFC champion. Randy Couture was the first. Randy Couture won his first title at heavyweight, and then he dropped down to light heavyweight and won the title there. And then he went back up and won the heavyweight title again. And he was the oldest. He was the oldest champion, or he still is the oldest heavyweight champion there ever was. He was 43, I believe. DC was 40 when he beat Stipe. But Randy Couture is the only champion in the UFC history to win the title at a heavier weight, moved down in a lighter weight, win the title there, and then moved back up and won another title. But BJ was the second UFC fighter in history to become a two-weight champion. He won it against Matt Hughes at welterweight at 170, and then went down to 155 and beat Sean Shirk for the vacant title at 155. But there's not a lot of celebrities or anything that I like get starstruck over, where I'm like, man, I have to have a picture with him, or just get stuck in my shoes where I'm like, oh my God, that's so and so. But 2 years ago, when UFC did the Noche event at the Sphere, I've mentioned it before in previous videos, me and my brother went to that event, and it was such an amazing event. And me and my brother, we like to drink. We're big drinkers. We like to party. And we got there. We ordered 2 beers when we first got there. Found our seats. Never got up again. It was such an amazing event, the Sphere was, that we didn't get up to piss. We didn't get up to get another drink. We didn't want to miss anything. It was such an amazing event. Well, after the main event of Marab and Sean O'Malley, when Marab became the champion, everybody starts to funnel out. Um, the uh, the parking lot was a mess, of course, as you could imagine. That living any big event, it's going to be hard to get out. So we found like a tunnel or a corridor that got you out of the Sphere and would lead you right to the Venetian in Las Vegas, off the Strip. And so we were like, fuck it, we haven't had any drinks. Let's just go down this corridor. We'll find a little bar or something, get a couple sips in. And then, we didn't have to be anywhere. We were just playing everything by ear. So we're walking, and then we see a big ruckus. There's a big group around somebody. And I look over, and my brother's like, hey, who's that over there? And I look over, and I'm like, oh, shit, that's Dan Hooker. The hangman, Dan Hooker. But he had like 30, 40 people around him, all trying to get pictures. And, I love Dan Hooker, don't get me wrong. He's a fucking savage. But I was like, I'm not waiting around to get a picture with Dan Hooker. I'm just not. I'm not that type of person. So we keep walking down. We find this other corridor that says towards Venetian. We start walking down. And the side security door opens up. Security guy walks out, takes a peek around, looks back, and he gives the fingers, come on out, come on out. First guy walks out. I don't know who he is. And the second guy walks out, but he kind of turns his head, and you just see a bald head. But I wasn't thinking anything of it, right? And then there are people shouting behind us, so I kind of turned around to look. And as I looked back behind, that bald-headed guy turned around too, but I didn't see him. Well, my brother saw him when he turned around. And before I could even turn back, my brother's already hitting me in my arm, tapping me, because my brother knows how much I love BJ Penn. And he starts hitting me. Look who it is, look who it is. And I look over, and BJ was still turned around, and it was BJ Penn. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I've never been in awe of somebody like that. But it's only because of the admiration I had for him. And I still have for him. So, he had all his luggage. So you knew they were about to fly out. Like, he came for the event, and they were immediately flying back out to Hawaii. And, we had just left the event. We were hunting for the beers. So we're walking, and we catch up to him, and nobody notices him. No, absolutely nobody noticed who he was. But I knew who he was, and my brother knew who he was. So I kind of walk up on him, and I put my hand on his back, and he turns around, and I look at him, and I go, BJ, you are my favorite fighter of all time. You're a legend. You inspired me to start doing jiu-jitsu and fighting. Can I please get one picture with you? And he dapped me up. He said, yeah, brother, all good. He's like, but let's just keep walking and talking. Because I think he didn't want everybody that was coming behind us to kind of swamp him, because he's such a nice guy like that. And so we snapped a picture. And even after we snapped the picture, I thought that he was going to be like, all right, cool. And he was like, no, he was like, what'd you guys think about it? And we just started chopping it up about the fights, the event, the whole Sphere experience. And I wanted to kind of gas up his ego. And I was like, BJ, man, like, because he had said, man, the Mexicans get down, man, they're warriors. And I was like, hey, the Mexicans warriors are just like the Hawaiian warriors. And I was like, and you built that Hawaiian, you put Hawaii on the map when it comes to MMA. And he is very gracious. And we just kind of walked and talked for another 100 yards or whatever down this corridor. And then I dapped him up one time. My brother was asking him questions, and then my brother dapped him up. And then I was like, we'll let you get on your way. And he was like, thank you. And super gracious, never big-timed us, never acted like he was too big to speak with us. And then we kind of walked ahead. And after we had walked ahead, that's when you started hearing people from behind us. They were like, who was that? Who was that? Because they had saw us, snap pictures. And then you hear somebody out of nowhere like, oh, shit, that's BJ Penn. And we kind of like power walked off because I didn't want to be the the reason that he gets stopped by hundreds of fans that was coming behind us. But I said all that to say that it really broke my heart to see that he got arrested again. And there's a lot of people that are saying online that CTE is a motherfucker and you just can't escape it. But I don't really remember BJ. I know in his prime, he never took a beating. The only one that stands out is the Nick Diaz fight when Nick Diaz came back, and he did put a beating on BJ. But I don't think he ever got cut in that fight. I don't know if BJ ever got cut until maybe later on in his career. But that's what I started thinking. I was like, man, were those beatings that bad that he took later on? Because he did take like 9 losses in a row towards the end because Dana loved him so much, because Dana understood that what BJ did in the early days built the UFC, and those last fights were hard to watch. Being as big as a BJ Penn fan as I am, they're very hard to watch. But like I mentioned, everybody was saying, oh, it's CTE and all this and that. But then I saw another comment that said, I've seen this before. This is not CTE. This is what happens when you get addicted to meth. Ice is what they said in the comment. And that really kind of broke my heart, man, because I'm like, man, this guy who was on top of the world, 2 different divisions, falls victim to, a disease of addiction, to something like that, to methamphetamine, to ice. And it really broke my heart because I love that guy so much. But then I had to kind of settle myself down and be like, okay, well, if it's CTE, we all know that CTE is uncurable, as far as we know right now. Most times they don't even know that you're suffering from CTE until after you pass away, and they actually have to dissect your brain. So me being a half cup full guy, not a half cup empty, I'm thinking, well, if it is an addiction to methamphetamine or ice, whatever you want to call it, that's curable, that's fixable. If he can get some good people around him, he can get help, he can get sober off that shit, and then maybe we'd start to see the BJ Penn, at least that I met 2 years ago, 2 years to the day almost that I met. Because before this fear incident 2 years ago, you didn't see him talking about his family members were being abducted and replaced with imposters. You didn't see him talking crazy shit. I don't want to call him crazy, but he has his own things in his brain. But you didn't see all this before 2 years ago. If it wasn't on the radar like it is now. So as bad as it sounds, hopefully it's just an addiction issue and he can get help. I really hope you get help, BJ. Like, if it's something that is fixable and your family really isn't being abducted and replaced, I hope it's something they can get taken care of, because you inspired a lot of people, especially my age. I'm 42, and you were the absolute man on top of the world coming up. You laid all the groundwork, the foundation for all the new fighters coming up right now. You 2-division world champion. You fought everybody. I mean, fuck, man, for the people that don't know, BJ Penn fought at 155 pounds, 170 pounds, 185 pounds. He fought Lyoto Machida in Japan at 205 pounds. That is a Hawaiian warrior who doesn't back away from any challenge. Any challenge, So if he can get through all that, if this is an addiction issue, I know he can make it through this. And I really hope he does. BJ Penn, I love you. Thank you for all the things that you've done for the sport. Thank you personally for me for making me fall in love with jiu-jitsu and the world of mixed martial arts. You're one of the people I looked up to when I was fighting. I wanted to be like you. I wanted to fight like you. I wanted to have that hunger and that just disregard for any kind of safety and just go out there and finish a fight. I wanted to be like you. And I hope everything gets figured out, and I hope you get settled in, and I hope everything works out for you the best way that it can. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. See you on the next one. Peace.